And in a sense, I think that that actually all networking is actually really probably the gateway to all of this kind of stuff, because it's really just doing something in sort of cyberspace that we do in real life, but it has a lot less transaction costs. But I'll come back to that in a minute. I got asked to address three things: blogging, Twitter, and PubMed Commons. Now, I'm here in my personal capacity. I've taken a day off work, so I'd just like to make that really clear. These are my personal opinions, not those of the whole big long hierarchy all the way up to Obama. So this is 100% personal. Even though I will talk about PubMed Commons, that's one of my work-related activities later. I'm going to talk a little bit less about blogging because so I'm going to just try and do this all on the internet. And afterwards I'm going to get a little collection of links, and Kay Dickerson said that we can put them on instead of like an abstract for the thing. Part of the reason I'm going to say a little bit less about blogging is because, I feel like my cred as a blogger at the moment is sort of severely limited. The last few months I haven't actually been blogging very much. So I've been going through a little bit of a thought about, am I actually still going to really do this kind of thing? I've decided I really am, so the drought's about to be over and there's going to be an awful lot of blogging happening, more than I used to, in fact. And I think that there's actually something really quite important about that, actually, inherently in that there are certain forms of social media that just do take a much bigger commitment and a lot more time, and you've really got to know why you're doing it. And what it is that you want, and then which one of those kind of outlets is going to suit your personality and your lifestyle and work for you is going to be different. And there are different communities in each of those. Now, blogging is the biggest commitment of all, I think. You really do have to feed the beast. This is a form of journalism, really. In a lot of ways, for a lot of the reasons that people might do it. For me, I had a few reasons. One of those is that I do work for a government agency now, and actually for all of that time that I was involved in consumer groups and all that kind of stuff, what you do is often just not even in your name. Your name's not on anything. And so a large part of the reason that I kind of avail myself of the NIH's freedom for the people who work there to indulge in social media and use social media is that it is very personal, and it became a form of self-expression, and that's really what the blogging is for me. The fact that there's a cartoon on here is really critical, because at the time I thought that I started Statistically Funny, one of the things that I wanted to do, I thought, I can write, but I really want to do art again. I hadn't been doing any art for quite some time. Decided I was going to try and become a cartoonist, and if I had a place that I could just publish in them, I'd have to sort of keep doing it, because I'd be embarrassed if I didn't. Of course, the first cartoons were way more embarrassing, but still. And I had then what I kind of used to kind of jokingly refer to as a nano audience. People would always say they do things and they have a niche group. With me, it was like nowhere near big enough to be a niche. And I think I've actually sort of gravitated, I've upgraded to niche status now. Turns out there are actually quite a lot of people who want to see jokes about statistics, and I blog at Scientific American, which clearly gets like more people, kind of thing. So, but that is one of those things that I think you really got to know what it is that you want to do. If you actually want to become a better writer, then I really recommend blogging. I mean, I really, really do, because you need to do quite a bit of it. And if you're going to get the kind of the gratification and feedback that keeps you going, then you're actually going to have to write reasonably well. And with any of these things that you do, that you're even thinking about doing, the first thing that you've got to do is kind of like immerse yourself in that world and see what it's like. What's the kind of blog that you're going to write. You've got to watch it. You've got to watch it and use it before you can really sort of leap in and do all that much of it yourself. And blogging teaches you a great deal, particularly about writing. If you want to do it, then one of the really good ways too is to sort of, see the kinds of blogs that you like, the kind of thing that you want to do, go ahead and do it. See if you can guest blog in different places, and just go for it. I can highly recommend it, but it is labour intensive. Here's what's been happening on Twitter in the time since we just went to the break before this session. So let's go sort of straight to the crack now. This is an astonishing phenomenon, and this tells you both what's fantastic about Twitter, and actually, if you stop and think about it and look at that for a while, it also shows you a lot of the disadvantages of Twitter. The fact that people really are tweeting up a storm, that they tend to be. You can see it's getting. You can see the time that people are waking up in Africa at the moment is one of the things that you can see. And this is absolutely astonishing. And when something happens, like a World Cup game or something or other, this just gets absolutely, blows sky high. So one of the main things, though, that I want to sort of tell you a bit about this is that I think that one of the things that deters people from Twitter is that sheer quantity. It's the tweet is short, but there are many, many, many of them. And so I thought that one of the main things that I do to sort of like encourage people to actually still get into Twitter anyway is to sort of give you a bit of an idea of where you might want to start, following things on Twitter and how to do it and how to manage that fire hose. Because I think that's the kind of like the biggest problem. I'll put some links to other things later for the thing. Now you'll just have to bear with me because I use a Mac now, so I'm not actually very good at using this kind of computer. You need to. How many people actually use Twitter, or at least enough to like look at it and understand it and know what tweets are, retweets are, that sort of thing? Enough? Most people do. So I'll send around a link that will sort of introduce you to some of that kind of, because it's almost like a whole other language, what we talk about in the Twitter sphere with people tweeting and having RTs and MTs and HTs and things, which is and this is actually really quite important for etiquette, to kind of acknowledge what your source was for something and all of those sorts of things. So actually, if you, it's good if you don't have a person who's really into it, who'll explain all those things to you in person. It's good to have somewhere to go to kind of work out, well, why are they saying MT now, which means modified tweet. RT is a retweet. HT means you heard it through somebody else. And so there's all of these ways of kind of like trying to get in shorthand to acknowledge your sources and so on. That's really basically what it is. And you don't really have 140 characters. You don't have 140 characters because you want people to pass it on. And so by the time they're going to add their little, this is good, RT and your tweet follows, they're going to actually soak up some of those 140 characters. So in actual fact, you want to go, 140 characters is kind of being excessively verbose on Twitter. But the idea that you can't communicate a lot in that amount of time is actually is actually not so, because you can put a link to whatever it is that's going to give you the context and that you want people to read. So that in that sense, it's virtually unlimited what you can put into a tweet. You can put, an awful lot somewhere else and then point people to it. And secondly, that's again can become a really good sort of sense of discipline for how to get an idea across in a very, very, in a very, very small place. And some people are so good at it that it's virtually a form of haiku. And if you want to sort of see somebody who's like on a whole other league, then follow Ed Yong, who's a science writer, and just watch somebody who just knows how to do this like nobody's business. So where might you start? And how do you control it? So I think for a few minutes, that's actually what I'll concentrate on. One of the ideas that I want to get you to think about is the whole concept of what the hashtag is. Now, the hashtag is an incredibly important thing. A hashtag means that that you can link. It's basically creating a link inside Twitter that links to everybody else who's used that hashtag. So if I go here, this place, Simpler, is a place that has a real lot of healthcare hashtags. And if you're looking for places of things that you might want to follow and so on, this is probably a good place to start if you're not sure where else. You can see at the moment here, for example, which are the conference hashtags that are trending on the planet at the moment. Now, AIDS 2014 in Melbourne has just ended today. But if you kind of look at this, I'll go back now. I'll go. Sorry, bear with me while I get another window. So say I saw on there, hey, I've either seen. Oh, what have I done? I've either seen that it's on. Oh, damn. Sorry. I should have done this before. I forgot every computer isn't my own one. No, please, do not. Even I just got it wrong, sorry. Yeah, remember that one. So if I now want to see what was happening at what's going on at AIDS 2014 and I can't be there, all I have to do is click on this and I'm going to see everything that's going on at AIDS 2014, all the people who are talking about it, sharing photos, all the rest of it. I looked up on an analytics place. There's been literally, probably sort of also even more than usual for a whole range of reasons. But there were really kind of like just tens and tens of thousands of tweets coming out from there. But it means when you see those kinds of things, you can either start to jump into conversations, you can start to see what's happening at a conference that you can't go to. There wasn't one for today, but I sent a few tweets using this one, and you'll see that there's a few things. I mean, for example, one of these, somebody from the Campbell collaboration starting to send around. I ended up in a conversation with somebody from the Campbell collaboration about what was going on, and a range of things were happening. So if people had, it actually makes going to conferences and things extremely interesting. You know, you sit there and all the people who are sitting there tweeting are immediately sharing the links to the things that people are talking about, or if some speaker has just said something and left out something important, they'll shoot around a tweet to people saying, well, they've overlooked this important trial or whatever. I've taken multiple pictures of Peter Doshi in the last few weeks and tweeted those as well. So you can really get a flavour of what's going on at a place. You can see photos. You can take those and take them further across. So like there's a photo I took. Then if you go to the Q Facebook page, you'll see that I've gone and I've gone to the what have I done? Well, in that instance, all I did, I took that photo with my iPhone, and then you go to your photo and it says share, and you can share it on Twitter, on Facebook, or wherever. So what I did in this instance was I went to, this isn't working the way I'm expecting it to work, but there's there it is, good. See this thing called details? You click on that, and then you've got the permanent URL for that individual tweet. So you'll see on your Facebook page, on Q, Facebook on Q, this here, whoops, how do you, whatever. If I, oh, sorry about I'm good at Twitter, I'm just not good at, whatever, sorry. Basically, had I been competent, I could have cut and pasted what's up there. There are other sort of fancy ways of doing this, but you don't have to be a person of high skill to do these ones. Just a second. I kind of, what's the address, what's the forward slash, I've just realised I didn't write down the forward slash thing for the Q page. Q, I wonder if I'm going to find it that way. Ah, no, that's a different, that's definitely not it. What? No, not on Q, on Facebook. Yeah, just a sec. I'm just going to have to log into Facebook. But you can see what I can't remember what one. This is just awful. I'm not of the age that I can remember this many login things. Oh, go away. Don't help me, please. Okay. So if I go to there, beauty. If I go to there, you'll see what I did with it. Oh, I'm sorry, Val. Okay, and that's because I was sitting far away and it's just my iPhone. But if you had a decent photo, you could just do things like that. I could have put it straight in, but I really quite like that. What? No, I mean, people can set it up that way, that everything you tweet and you do. Yes, people do that. I don't. The reason that I don't do it that way, and I'm assuming part of the thing is that actually sort of like requires a bit of setting up and so. Part of the reason that I don't do that is because different. I mean, that saves a lot of time, but different. These communities are very different, and what makes a good Facebook post and what makes a good tweet are actually two different things, and I do different things in different places. For me, Facebook's personal. Twitter is a whole other, is a whole other thing. But this was just the way that I was doing it like this. You'll see I've said something different. If here you can go and you can see what I actually, what the tweet said. If you wanted to go and see that, that was the tweet. But it's quite different to what I posted on the Facebook thing. But if I go back to simpler, you could, for example, come in on a particular day and see, which diseases are trending. Sometimes people will have, like the ABC's Dr. Besser will do that a lot. They'll have set up that they're going to have a Twitter chat. They're going to say, okay, from this time of the day, from 10 a.m. till 11 a.m, we're talking about diabetes or whatever. And occasionally I've gone into one of those where I feel quite strongly about the evidence about them and just waited till somebody asked, is there any information on X, Y or Z? And then just jumped in and said, yes, here's a link. But there's all sorts of different ways that you can do it, and you can find out about, and this is one of the things that's quite, oh, that's not the one I wanted.
So I'm wondering, we have about 5 minutes left. I'm wondering if 10 minutes for questions. I'm wondering if there's any specific questions that we should answer first, and then if not, then you can keep kind of just explaining your strategy.
Well, okay, if I've only got a couple of minutes, I'll go to PubMed Commons. PubMed Commons is completely different, really. PubMed Commons is the new commenting system inside PubMed. You can get there via the PubMed homepage. In order to join PubMed Commons, you have to have been an author of something in PubMed Commons. That could be a letter to a journal, it could be an article, anything that's actually made it into PubMed and has a PubMed record is sufficient to enable you to join. I mean, if anybody wants to join and has got questions about how to get in, just get in touch with me and
something that's published in PubMed, you can then join.
That's right.
Okay.
And next week this is all going to look very different, so don't get... something quite big is happening at PubMed Commons over the next few days. Yes. Yes, and if anybody has any problems, they should email me. And then, so you can see the things that people are saying. It's a bit slow at the moment because it's, summer. But what will happen is, I'll go to my own. You end up with your own page, which at the moment has nothing except the comments that you've made. And here you can see the kinds of comments that you can make and what you can do. You can kind of a hyperlink between all of these different articles. You can, and then what happens is, now what's a good example? This probably doesn't entirely endear me to people, but I've done a critique of the Cochrane review on mammography here. I had just as like a history, I'd had trouble getting comments into the Cochrane library, and now I don't have to battle with that. I'll just stick it into PubMed. And what will happen here, and I kind of say, basically to some extent I'm sort of saying, well, this is why this review differs to other reviews, and if you want to read other reviews, here's links to those. Now, if you were in another place, so say you were at, which one? Pick one. Anyone, doesn't matter. So say you were in at the AHRQ review, then at the bottom, you would see that it was mentioned in this other comment. And that's how those things link. If you've actually put the PubMed ID into one comment, it'll highlight it over in the other place that's being referred to. So I mean that's the basics, but keep your eye on this space because it's going to get more exciting next week. And I'll put some links so that you can follow some of this stuff up.
So, Hilda, I'd like to know, how do you get your event listed on Simplor? Do they just find it, or you have to plan ahead?
You register it. An awful lot are. You can do a hashtag without. I did that. You can just do a hashtag. You don't have to have registered the hashtag. If you do register the hashtag, though, and there's a place on that website. I've never done it. But it's easy. The things that's hard. The thing that's hard. The website will tell you how. The thing that's hard is coming up with the right hashtag. That's the thing that's hard. Because most of the things, you don't want it to be too long. You want it to be easy to remember. It can't be one that's really heavily occupied by somebody else, because that's going to be really confusing to people when they click on it. I did a workshop for a group of journalists that I called Stats for the Win, and had a hashtag Stats FTW, which was really good. Some other people had used this Stats for the Win thing, but I was actually quite happy with the kinds of things they tweeted about. So I actually don't mind what comes interspersed that actually isn't related to the stuff I do about teaching statistics to journalists. Is fine with me. But that's one of those things. I did find out that there have been other conferences called Q 2014. That's the kind of thing you've got to watch out for. But even if you don't, the one other thing that I was going to say is, and I will actually show you this. This is important. The thing that I was going to tell you about, like how to manage the stream, because you'll start following people and you'll pretty quickly find out you've got too many tweets to see. What you do then is you just start doing lists. Most of mine, if you look down here, you're not going to know much about them because I wrote them in German, but see that little locked thing? It means only I can see them. So people don't know I'm following them, but they don't know whether I'm reading their tweets at all. Because at some point you just have to start shoving people into kind of different folders, in effect. I created this one for today, not because I've put in the Twitter accounts of everybody's here or all of their organisations, but while I was sitting there, I just created a list of a variety of kind of types of Twitter accounts, so that later if you wanted to look at this, you could see, well, this is what a list is, and how you sort of create it and manage the numbers. You could see here that there's 31 members on this list, and you could look through and see what they are. You can just create your own, adding people, deleting people. So, for example, when I added this, which is actually a really great Twitter thing to follow, you'll see this thing that says user actions. You go to here, you can add them or remove them for your lists. So that's my usual list. I have them on, and then I put them on that list for a demonstration list for you. People do those lists to encourage people, to help people find other things to follow. So this is a great one. The American Healthcare Journalists Association. If you're interested in journalists at all, which is one of the main things that I do on Twitter, you can look, you go here, you'll see their lists. People actually make lists that they want people to see. So you can go and you could find out, all sorts of lists of Twitter accounts of journalists and so on.
So,
They've got a variety of different things. So that's the basic way that you sort of control this when you realise you're just getting way too many.
so what I wanted to say, everything that I do on Facebook and Twitter is public. And the reason I do that is because my organization has no funding. We've basically never gotten a grant from anyone who didn't personally know me. So that's a little ridiculous, but that's where we're at. So I find by spending $40 or $50 at a time for a post that I think is super important, I can bring in 5,000 people. Of that 5,000, those people are going to, some of them are going to be very interested and they're going to spread the word to other people. I don't actually know who they're spreading to, but we have had weeks, literally, September 2012, when I was spending a lot of money, but not a lot, it was under $250. We had 118,000 people see our Facebook page. It's very doable. You reach a ton of people. I'm sure you've experienced that. It's not expensive. You can reach 3,000 to 8,000 for $40, and we do. And on Facebook, they have a way to promote. It says promote. Then I also, on my personal page, I do share. It's only $6.99, and I'm reaching a lot of people. It's just worth knowing.
Any last questions? Otherwise, I think we're going to wrap things up. And yeah.
I just want to hope that you all use the Q Facebook group that Hilda showed. And if for some reason you're shy of using Facebook, and there's at least some people in here, just send me what you think should go up there, or send any of us. So it tends to be the same old people posting, but I think it's getting better. And but just, we don't want to miss anything, so send it out there. And one of the things I really think we can lobby for is getting consumers and patients free access to these journal articles. So I put out something about JAMA, what's it called, JAMA something?
Patients,
No,
that's something access. It's got access in the name.
JAMA, no, it's like network or something. But I keep trying it and can't get access. But supposedly you get free access to those papers that week. So I think we got to just keep pressing it. Yeah.